All right, Grandma. When did you first become a Christian or consider yourself saved? Or how did you become about being a Christian? Was it as someone brought you to church or someone told you about God?
No, I was right here in my house, and I was going through a lot of hard things in my life, and it's like I really didn't even want to live anymore.
Wow.
And I just was crying, and I said, if there's a God out there, I want to know you.
Wow.
And it was that very same weekend I felt to go to this church on the way into where my husband had his gas station in the city. And so I went there, and I come to know the Lord right away.
Oh, wow, that's
I met
awesome.
him there. So he showed me how real he was.
Who is Jesus to you?
He's everything.
Tell me of a healing you've seen firsthand. Maybe of a story of any healing, if it's Grandpa's or another healing that you've seen, a miracle.
My very first healing that I've had, that when my kids were little, I always had coffee in the morning, and I cannot do caffeine. It makes me too nervous, and my body inside just feels like it's shaking and everything. So I was laying on the floor playing with one of the kids. I don't know if it was Jean or Penny at the time, and I just said, oh Lord, and I was shaking inside, and I hate that feeling that caffeine does to you. So I said, oh Lord, please, I know I've asked you before about taking it away, and I'm not going to ask you this time because I did it myself, you know.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this heat went right from the top of my head and went right through my whole body, and I just started crying. And I called my husband, and I said, God just healed me. He took it right away. And I wasn't going to ask him for it, but he did it anyway. So now I just gave up caffeine. It's no good for me.
Okay, the incident with Grandpa when he had the radiator explode on him or something along those lines, right?
Yes.
And the doctor said it was going to take months to heal. I'm pretty sure. That's what I've heard, at least, right?
Well, he was working on a car, and it blew up, and he had he had to go to the hospital, and it was like it was a skin burn, the hole right there, like a hole.
Yeah.
And they told him not to remove the bandages for 3 days.
Uh-huh.
He had to leave those bandages on, and all of a sudden, he said, this is itching, I can't stand it, it's itching, I'm going to take it off. And he went in the bathroom, and all of a sudden I heard him crying, and I went in there, and here it was healed right over, like it had never happened.
That's amazing.
It was amazing.
Tell me about the cool story when you were talking to God in the garden, and the bird came by and nudged you on the shoulder.
Yeah, that was... I was working in the garden, and if I stay in the garden too long and bending and everything, my back would hurt and I'd pay the penalty. So I just decided, Lord, you can let me know when to get out of the garden to rest so I can go back and do my work. So I was on my knees and I was waiting, and all of a sudden I heard, it's time to get out of the garden. It's time. And I know it was God, but I said, well, just let me get this one. And I reached and was getting another weed, and I heard the second time, it's time to get out of the garden, and I said, but I got to get this weed, and I got that one and this one, and the third time, all of a sudden a bird came and it hit me right on the shoulder, and I just sat back and I just laughed because I knew it was God, and he was using the bird to say, I told you to get out of the garden. So God is cool.
He is. You've had cancer how many times, Grandma?
3 times, 4 operations.
Okay, and was it this last time that you had cancer when the doctor had told you that stuff, that the radiation was going to burn?
Yeah.
Okay, and tell what you said to the doctor, that you said you were a child.
Well, the first time I went, for them to tell me everything. They were telling me all the side effects that would do, like the burning, the blisters. Some people have this and that. And so I came home and I said, oh, I had a talk with the Lord, and I said, I don't want that. I said, in the Bible, the 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were thrown into a fiery furnace and you saved them. They didn't even get burned or nothing. The 2 people that pushed them in got killed.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm your child too. And I said, I don't want to get burned. I said, so I kind of expect, you know, you treat me like them.
Yeah.
We're your children. And going into the 2nd week of radiation, I had to see the doctor every week, and he told me, because my doctor went on vacation that week, so I had a man doctor, and he told me, when you come in next week, you're going to be all red. And I said, no. I said, and I told him about the 3, and I said, I'm a child of God too, and I don't expect to get burned. I don't expect to get burned. And all of a sudden he reached for my hand and he said, oh my dear, we're not going to be that drastic here. And it's like, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything more to him because I figured he doesn't even know the story about that, but he
probably doesn't know the Lord either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during the whole, I had 30 treatments, 6 weeks of treatment. I never got red, and I got to witness and tell the people in radiation about what I expected, and they were all amazed that I never got even red whatsoever.
Yeah, that's amazing.
God kept me from it because it's His word and His promises.
Speaking of His word, what is maybe a favorite scripture of yours? Favorite scripture or favorite story in the Bible? Anything at all?
I have a couple of them. The one scripture is in Psalms where it says, set a watch, O Lord, over my mouth and keep the door of my lips. So I'd always be just saying what He would want you to say and do.
Awesome.
And another one is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on heaven and maybe what it'll be like possibly?
I can't imagine. I just can't imagine.
I hear you. I really can't imagine either, to be completely honest.
Because here, it's like being with Him right here. And
yeah.
He's just so awesome. And
to be there, to actually see Him finally. And yeah, definitely.
I can't imagine.
Last thing I wanted to say or ask you was, if you came across somebody in the church that you never seen before, but they look like maybe they were looking for answers or something, what would be maybe your response? Or if you only had like one thing to tell them maybe, or encouragement, what do you think it would be, or what would you say?
It depends upon
what God put on your heart.
What they're saying. I mean, if it's about healing, I would tell them God's not a liar. God heals. He's our deliverer. It depends upon what they're saying to me.
Definitely. No, I understand completely.
But He's the answer to everything.
Yes.
But you might give a testimony of something that has happened to you in the past, and to let them open their eyes and say, oh yes, He is real.
Well, I appreciate your time and being open for the video.
Oh, thank you.